holy, it is snowing, isn't it, Nev? Yes. Yeah, so me and Nev are here to talk to you about a movement issue. I thought I'd do a YouTubey thing about it, and what I've picked up, and I feel this myself, you know, there's a lot of frustration and anger even amongst the vegan activists about you know, so-called passive vegans, you know, the cupcake vegans or the vegan porn vegans or whatever you want to call them, the kind of people who tend not to be active. There's a strange subsection of that who are actually are critical of activists, which is interesting to me, because you know, in my ideal world, allowing for the fact that some people are going to be inactive for a variety of valid reasons, you know, they would be the ones supporting the activists, in my view. You know, certainly on a local level. You know, I despair at the idea of animal advocates kind of sending, you know, I'm based in Ireland, you know, the idea of you know, sending money from Ireland over to you know, England or to the States just seems a little weird to me. You know, we're there on the street, and you know, all the money is flying over us. You know, which is you know, a bit weird, really. I would have thought that even in terms of you know, accountability, that is a lot better to support your local group, because you can see what they're doing. You know, you can check them out on Facebook. You know, you can basically see what they're doing almost like on a daily basis. You know, whereas send money to a national group and it's a bit of a black hole. You got absolutely no idea what they're going to do with it. You know, whereas you can kind of check it out on a certainly a week by week basis with your local groups. And if they change their policy, start doing stuff, start making claims that you don't support, then you can just switch your alliance again, a lot easier than you know, the delay that it would be to try and do the same type of thing with the national groups. But in terms of the passive vegans, then, to use that phrase, I mean, again, I want to re-emphasize the point that you know, just being vegan, as it were, on its own is a good thing, and by that I mean kind of adhere to the philosophy, the justice for all philosophy of veganism. And you know, I mean, I don't think there's many kind of silent vegans. I don't think there's many vegans who won't answer questions. I don't think there's many vegans who will refuse to engage with people, and so even they, on some level, are kind of campaigning. There is a concept within social movement theory called free riders, and I think that for the activists who are frustrated, you know, this is probably what's going on here. And what the free rider problem is, and it affects all social movements, is the fact that some people see others, as it were, doing the work, and they're essentially kind of riding on the wave, because they think, well, there's no need for me to do it because someone else is doing it, or there's a group over there, a visible kind of entity group that is doing it, and so I can just, you know, be supportive and also reap some of the benefits. I mean, it's a two-way street in a way, because if those people who are just vegan consumers of vegan-friendly goods, they are creating a market, you know, when that kind of helps the activists in a sense. So, you know, it should be a kind of symbiotic relationship, really. But the free rider problem does create kind of some frustration. I think that perhaps we, you know, as activists, we can understand that there's going to be some people who just can't be, or it doesn't suit them. You know, they're embarrassed, they're shy, and all the rest of it. It doesn't necessarily mean that they can't do online stuff. And again, I'm not quite sure there's many vegans who completely hide away and won't talk about their veganism. They don't know how to explain it, etc., etc. And there's kind of enough examples now, presumably online, of people where people can say, well, you know, this is me, this is what I believe, and even if you can't articulate it particularly yourself, you can certainly point people to resources that will do that. So, you know, I mean, you know, I just really don't think that there's that many completely passive vegans. So I think on the one hand, the activists should probably try and understand the people who can't be, or or don't want to be active. And again, my ideal will be for those inactive vegans to support the ones that are active, the ones that are out on the street, the ones that are doing stuff. And it's easy enough to check people out, check out the different groups. In Ireland, for example, there are lots of different groups, but you can find them on the internet pretty quickly. Within a quarter of an hour you can get a feeling about which ones are the ones doing the kind of stuff that you particularly kind of support. And if you do support them on a local level, all good, because local activists need support, especially the ones that do more than just a single table and a few leaflets which they've got free from the national groups. Some groups, and most of the groups in Ireland do this, they produce their own leaflets, which is really great. The last thing I would want to see is for the national groups to get too much of a hold in Ireland, and it's good. I mean, Ireland is good for that, in the sense that we've got an active vegan community. There are quite a lot of supporters, and also the national groups don't really have much of a say in relation to what's going on, in relation to how it's done, and in relation to the media even. So all that is kind of good. So yeah, good. So the free rider problem. If you're feeling frustrated, well, that's probably an explanation for kind of what's going on. At the same time, I think that activists should, be, to understand on some level the fact that some people just can't do it, and some people don't want to, and at the same time, the chance of them doing nothing at all, absolutely nothing, besides being a vegan consumer, is probably low. I don't think there's going to be many of those. So maybe that I know that this is a kind of a recurring kind of argument or debate and discussion that goes on social media about this, but I kind of see little points on both sides. So that's what I wanted to say. So that's my YouTubey thing. I'll see you again. This is a very darkening and snowy Dublin, so goodbye from me, and catch you next time.